production. Thank you so much to be in Toronto for a few hours.
Yes, thank to you, and just sorry because I believe that the presentation is probably too much, but thank you. It's really, we are very happy to stay here. We are absolutely impressed how many people are here. Which kind of great job have you made in this place, promoting in this way the Italian culture? Because when I say culture, it means everything that is around our movie, our music, our food, everything. So thanks to Cristiano for the work that you have really.
So you are here because also there are two movies that we are going to present at this festival. One is 5 Secondi, 5 Seconds, and the other one is Il Maestro.
Yes, so I also say to Cristiano that probably it could be a good idea to have also here Buen Camino, because it's true that it's on the streaming, but the experience that you can have watching the movie with other people, it's quite impressive.
Okay, take it seriously. We have a month of a festival. We can organize it. If you say yes,
I do.
we'll put it on by the end of the festival.
By time you can make it. You can send me the picture of the people. What the reaction of the people during the screening.
We did actually. You made a discovery for this trip. I think that you have a cousin here now.
What?
Walter Arbib.
Yes,
We have to thank the Arbib family that is supporting the festival since day one, and we discovered they are in some way related to you.
We are related, and we are also now very good friends. So he welcomed me here in Toronto. It was very nice person. Really.
An incredible family. And you are an incredible producer, and ICFF this year decided for everything that you have done this year for Italian cinema to recognize you as best producer for this edition of the festival. Thank you so much, and to accept the award from us. Grazie, and we wait for Buen Camino.
Thank you. Call me and we'll arrive. Thank you very much.
Grazie. So, tonight is really a night that is a special. Of course, we have the World Cup here in Toronto. We have unfortunately only the World Cup. We don't have the Italian team. But since March, we were thinking there is a chance that we are not going to have the Italian team. We are very pessimistic. And so what we can do, I think that we decided to go back in time and speak about a victory that really changed Toronto and the Italian community. The victory is, of course, the 1982 victory of the World Cup in Spain. We were thinking that it was not an approach of going back in memory just as a nostalgic moment, but we feel that that really changed our community, our identity, and changed a little bit Toronto, I think. Toronto in that moment, I feel that with all the thousands and thousands of people on St. Clair, understood how big was the Italian community, how many we were, but also how important we were for Toronto. And if I remember correctly, they told me that Pierre Trudeau took an helicopter and flight over Toronto to see really how many Italians were on St. Clair. And from that moment, I think that really we understood how many we were and also how strong we could be, also in politics. So I think that is not, again, something that we are celebrating just as a victory of a sport, but also as part of our history as an Italian community. So I felt that for the new generation that were not here, of course, they had to understand that this was something part of our history. And so with what I can say, the three most important Italian organizations, we decided to put together this program. And of course, calling a champion of that time and invite him to Toronto. And so I would like to invite this incredible leading of our community, Bob Sacco from CIVPA, Marco De Buono from Villa Chadis, a round of applause. And of course, Tiziana Tedesco from ICCO, the Italian Chamber of Commerce. So, Bob.
Thank you, Cristiano. And on behalf of the CIVPA and Sabrina Morelli, who unfortunately is dealing with a urgent family matter, couldn't be here. But we've been part of the ICFF for 15 years. Every year it's gotten progressively better, and I'm just amazed at the expansion and the incredible things that you've done, and to bring the community together in what we would call the Italian Piazza, the Canadian Square, and inclusivity is so important. And the one thing I just wanted to mention about the game and approximately 300,000 Italians filled the neighborhoods in Toronto celebrating this, and not one punch was thrown and nobody was arrested. It was just pure celebration, and we hope that we continue with that tradition.
For sure, for sure. Marco, I know that you are part of this World Cup with a mega screen at the Columbus Center, so tell me a little bit about it.
Sure, thank you very much, Cristiano, and congratulations once again on a wonderful film festival. Tonight's event is the result of a wonderful collaboration of all our organizations coming together to remember that magical time back in 1982 and welcome a special guest as well, Antonio Cabrini, one of the heroes from the 1982 team. I do remember that time, and it was the excitement and the pride of the Italian community with every game that they won. It was just increasing and increasing and increasing. The horns, the cars, people hanging out of the windows, waving flags, all culminating with the victory and then the big party on St. Clair. I remember being there with my parents. What a wonderful experience, and I was so fortunate to be there with my children in 2006 as well. So, you know, who knows? I hope one day we can do this once again. But congratulations and thank you for this opportunity.
Grazie, grazie, grazie. Tiziana, from ICCO, we had a beautiful cocktail reception at Spazio Camera in college.
Yes, it was great actually. We had a football tournament, it was very successful. We had the honor of having Antonio Cabrini with us for a meet and greet with our members, and it was a very great experience, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and all the ICFF for this great partnership along with Villa Charities and CIVPA. It's been a great initiative, and you know, we're really glad to be part of it.
Grazie.
Thank you.
And I have to say that also Chin Radio is part of it, Omni is part of it, the Consulate General of Toronto is part of it, and of course the University TMU is part of it because Roberta is here and is supporting a lot of things. So of course I can say the Italian community is so strong again and can suffer in silence the moment that we don't have the Azzurri in Toronto. What do you think? But we are proud about the 1982.
Go Canada for tomorrow.
Bravo, bravo, go Canada for tomorrow. So we leave the stage to one of the most, I can say, historical figure for sport journalism. Af de Blasis is the one that will present you the guest of tonight. Goodbye, buona visione. Before that, we have an interview with Sam Ciccolini and Julian Fantino. We will watch it before that.
When I started in policing, I was basically in the area of College Street, Grace. On a Sunday, we would have Italians, hardworking, spend some time at Gattonero, have an espresso coffee, meet their friends, and listen broadcast the soccer games from Italy. So it was a gathering place. There was always this thing about keep people off the sidewalk, but it was much more cruel than that. It was keep the wops off the sidewalk, which is a very ignorant term that was being used, and we had to deal with that.
St. Clair was a really close-knit community of Italian people. You have to also understand, everybody knew each other. I was watching the game at the AC Ranch, but as soon as they won, I could see people forming on the street with their flags, with their... Now all of a sudden you were wearing Italian shirts. Because, you know, we weren't really that well looked at. If you wore an Italian shirt, they would look at you sideways.
In 1982, when Italy won the World Cup in soccer, St. Clair West became one of the biggest impromptu parties this city has ever seen.
As soon as Italy won 3-1 against Germany, Toronto exploded. So you have to imagine all the people that came from Italy to Toronto.
Metro's Italian community held a party and everybody came. Soccer fans took to the streets. Thousands jammed St. Clair Avenue West, chanting Viva Italia.
There were people here on top of the buildings, and this was a sea of people, a sea of Italian flags. And people are starting to recognize that Italy is really Italy.
I think that was the breakthrough for certainly the Italian community being highly recognized and appreciated, and certainly visible in a Toronto that was mostly Anglo-Saxon in those
The
days.
street became so crowded that it was closed off to traffic, and even the police joined in the
I
celebration.
was an inspector with Toronto Police at that time, and that very day, my job was to come up to St. Clair here, and basically what my superiors wanted at all costs is to keep the streetcars moving.
But you know, Fantino at that time, he said, shit on this. We're going to get the streetcar out of the way, and we're going to have Italians ride on St. Clair.
What a day to be an Italian. These are just 50 of the 500,000 Italians who live in Toronto, the largest first-generation Italian community in the world outside of the homeland. These people gathered in the back of Sabatini's restaurant in Little Italy to watch the game. Tonight they're on top of the world.
Anytime you have a large gathering of people, there's always an element that come out to cause trouble, right? That's the way things are thought about. But in this particular case, it wasn't that at all. But at the end of the day, you had thousands upon thousands of people that came here, met, greeted, celebrated, and went home. There's no issue.
Everybody became Italian. But the key to St. Clair was this. Every one of the stores, in particular the food stores and the bars, etc., they all came out with their wares, with their food, with everybody was giving people their everything for nothing. That's why Italians, we're big-hearted.
Moments of agony, ultimately ecstasy. Pure ecstasy. Overwhelming ecstasy.
That particular event, from my point of view, was the breakthrough of how Italians were seen so different from that point on.
Initially, the reason for the fiesta was their home team's victory. But they soon discovered that they were celebrating something else, themselves.
I can only sum it up with one word. We were so proud to be Italians. I think Italians from that day on were finally being recognized as great citizens of this country.
On this day, they had a chance to let the rest of the city, and for that matter the rest of the country, know that they were proud to be Italian Canadians and that they were here to stay.
And a very good evening and welcome everyone to this very special evening with the screening of Il Viaggio degli Eroi. My name is Alf de Blasis. I'm very proud to have been asked to moderate a conversation prior to the screening of this fascinating documentary, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. And joining me on the panel this evening are one of the executive producers of the film Il Viaggio degli Eroi, Francesco Rossano. Welcome, Francesco.
Thanks.
Former Canadian national team player, North American Soccer League star, and member of the Canadian Soccer Hall of Fame, Roberto Iarusci. And our guest of honor, who enjoyed a Serie A career that spanned 13 seasons with countless triumphs, a Juventus legend, and a member of the 1982 World Cup champion Italian national team. Please welcome Antonio Cabrini. Benvenuto, Antonio.
Grazie.
For many of us in the Italian-Canadian community, the summer of 1982 was transformational. Thousands of Italian Canadians poured onto the streets of Toronto in a joyful and peaceful celebration of Italy's World Cup victory. That spontaneous act was a defining moment for our community. In a way, it helped establish our identity as a strong civic entity in Toronto and within a multicultural Canada as a whole. Now, I was among those 300,000 celebrating on St. Clair Avenue that day. I was quite young, I was a university student at the time. I'm not quite sure how or why it happened, and maybe it was just an instinctual desire for our community to celebrate together, and our common point of reference was St. Clair Avenue. For lack of a better term, St. Clair was our piazza. It was our meeting point. And we have quite a few of these points of reference throughout the greater Toronto area, but St. Clair Avenue was the original hub, as many of you know, for the Italian community. So I want to kind of begin the conversation by exploring that point in history and its significance. And first, I want to ask Antonio, and I'm sure that in the moments after the Azzurri won the World Cup, the players were consumed with emotions and wanted to celebrate with their family and their loved ones. But in the days and weeks after, did he comprehend, and did the players comprehend how that victory resonated with Italian immigrants all around the world? Quindi Antonio, nei giorni successivi, dopo il successo dell'Italia nel 1982, vi siete resi conto dell'impatto di questa vittoria sugli italiani nel mondo?
Good evening, everybody. Allora, noi non ci siamo resi conto dopo la vittoria del mondiale. Non ci siamo resi conto di essere campioni del mondo perché per noi era la prima volta, non era una cosa semplice. Il fatto di tagliare un traguardo così importante ci ha permesso, ci ha aperto ci ha dato la possibilità di arrivare a tante cose, ma non ci siamo resi conto immediatamente di aver fatto una cosa importante per il paese, per l'Italia. Quando siamo arrivati in Italia, quando siamo tornati in Italia il giorno seguente con l'aereo presidenziale di Pertini, siamo atterrati a Ciampino e l'aereo si è dovuto fermare in pista perché in pista c'erano 40.000 persone che ci aspettavano. In quel momento abbiamo iniziato a capire che qualcosa di importante avevamo fatto, ma oltre per aver raggiunto un traguardo importante a livello sportivo, ci siamo resi conto di aver fatto qualcosa per il paese. Non dobbiamo dimenticare che in quel periodo il paese attraversava un momento molto delicato, c'erano le Brigate Rosse, c'era molta delinquenza. E con quella vittoria, non dico che tutto se n'è andato, ma con quella vittoria l'Italia ha ritrovato se stesso e soprattutto ha capito che nel mondo intero era una nazione che contava molto, che era importante. Questa era l'Italia in quel momento.
We have an interpreter with us. Thank you.
I'll do my best. So when we won, we didn't realize that we were the champions of the world. It was our first time, and it was a huge challenge that we overcame, and we didn't realize it was so important. When we got back to Italy, we were landing and we saw 40,000 people, and we were shocked to see so many people waiting for us. And it was such an important time in our history, because in those days we were having some difficulties in the country, in Italy, and it was the times of the Red Brigade and many problems in the country. And with that victory, Italy found itself as a nation.
Thank you, Lisa. And Francisco, for you, when you were researching this film, did you become aware of the magnitude of that Italian victory outside of Italy on the Italian diaspora around the world?
Thank you, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. Well, when we started searching for the archive footage of the documentary, we actually realized how big the event was. I mean, we are now used to big events, but in 1982, already there was so much footage because there was so much people around. And we started developing this movie during COVID pandemic because we wanted to tell a story that could be inspirational for communities, for people, and that national team had that kind of inspiration, that unity, that group effort can make a normal event, make it an incredible win for everyone. And to see that footage with when you know you're used to in pandemic, all people, yeah, everybody was at home, so it was incredible to see all that in what was the footage of 1982. So yeah, it was mind-blowing.
Bob, you bring an interesting perspective to this conversation because you're a Torontonian, but you were playing in the US at the time with one of the world's most iconic teams, New York Cosmos, with players who had been on the World Cup stage, and probably with players who Antonio played with and against from time to time. What are some of your recollections of that summer, both as a professional footballer and a proud Italian?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. First of all, it's an honor to sit next to Antonio Cabrini. And I can't tell you how much he inspired me and the whole team, so thank you, Antonio. I grew up in downtown Toronto on St. Clair, and I would have gone to Oakwood Collegiate, but my father moved out of the city to Rexdale, and I cried for a week, I think. But I loved to play soccer, and I played for the team that represented the community called Westwood Young Generation, and Sam Ciccolini, who's one of the sponsors with Masters Insurance, was one of the leaders of that soccer movement. And I can tell you that when I was in New York, we used to have bets, scommettevamo a New York, i giocatori, per chi vinceva quelle partite importanti finché che l'Italia è arrivato alla finale. So we would bet, especially with Franz Beckenbauer, he bet for Germany, of course, with myself and Giorgio Chinaglia, who was you know, the big Italian star at the Cosmos. It was a big thing for us to win one over on our German friend, and along with some of the Dutch guys that were there and some of the South American players. So it was a big deal. It was a big deal, and as the guys got closer and closer to the objective, you know, we were probably just as nervous as they were. Oh, well, maybe not, but we felt the game. When Antonio made the first pass to Paolo Rossi for the goal, I mean, everybody jumped. Everybody jumped, and I think a few chairs broke as well in the room. We were so happy, and the team just went on from there to amazing victory. And we, as a small part of Italy, because obviously they didn't realize that Toronto today is close to 1 million Italians. If you think of the GTA total, 8 million people, 1 million of them are Italians. And our hearts are still broken because we could have had Italy playing against Canada at the stadium here, so it'll have to be for another time. Thank you.
That would have been quite the day, June 12th of this year, if we had a Canada-Italy match, but unfortunately it is not to be. You know, years ago I remember contributing to a thesis that a university student was writing on the events of that day in 1982, and in that thesis the student wrote that soccer and that particular moment in time helped Italian Canadians create this shared identity that reinforced the importance of our community. That it was in fact a turning point and represented this notion of community as a collective force. And Francesco, in your exploration as you were developing this documentary, was this a prevailing theme, that this notion that this victory was somehow unifying the citizens, not only the citizens of Italy, but the Italian immigrant communities all over the world?
It's interesting because this year we didn't qualify, but in 1982, when the Italian national team went to the World Cup, all the press was against them. People didn't think that Italy would be a good team in that World Cup, but eventually, game after game, they also started very bad. I mean, the first draft, the first 3 games were 3 draws.
Yeah.
But eventually,
Wasn't particularly inspiring at the time, but
yeah, but game after game, they started showing what they were made of, and that's how it actually built inside the communities. You know, when you're an underdog, but you work, and there's a team effort, you eventually build something that it's unexpected, and that's what happened, and it's history now.
And that is, that brings me to the next point, in that, was it fair to say that perhaps we as a community saw a reflection of ourselves in the team because of the adversity, because of the skepticism, the criticism from the media, and having to deal with all that, and then of course the story of Paolo Rossi, the redemption, Paolo Rossi che torna dalla squalifica and becomes an important protagonist of that victory. That is somehow reflected in the team, is it not?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Italians were, it was the big moment of immigration of Italians all around the world, so it was all about building up an identity elsewhere, and that's what that national team showed to the people. So definitely that's a thing, and at the beginning the first answer of the team was to just be silent. They wouldn't speak to the press. Maybe
silenzio stampa. È vero, Antonio? Nessuno si voleva fare avanti ad affrontare la stampa.
C'era un motivo preciso per aver fatto il silenzio stampa con la nazionale. Innanzitutto, come appunto si diceva, c'erano grossissimi problemi fino a quel momento tra il commissario tecnico e i giornalisti. Naturalmente questo si ripercuoteva sulla tifoseria italiana, c'erano grandi polemiche per le scelte che Bearzot aveva fatto e per gli elementi, per i giocatori che aveva portato in Spagna. E quindi dopo le prime 3 partite, che non sono state 3 partite di buon livello, con 3 pareggi, naturalmente si è scatenata questa grande stampa italiana contro la nazionale, contro i giocatori della nazionale, che a quel punto decisero di fare silenzio stampa. Tant'è vero che Bearzot ci disse: voi fate quello che sapete fare, cioè giocare a calcio, per il resto ci penso io. Se le cose dovranno andare male sarò io il responsabile, se le cose andranno bene saremo tutti bravi. E quello è stato un punto, e Bearzot è stato in quel caso un grandissimo punto di riferimento per tutti noi, molto molto importante. Prego.
There was a specific reason for not commenting to the press. The fans had made some choices, and some players, there were some controversial political decisions that were made, and some players were taken to Spain, and the media was against the Italian national team, and Bardozzi said, I will take care of everything else. You guys just play and do your best, and I will take care of all the other political issues that were going on at the time, or social issues also.
Bob, you never refused to speak to the media, did you, as a player? It was expected of you because you were a captain for a number of years, so it was a responsibility of yours to always have to speak to the media.
Well, the moment that I was put under the microscope was 1982. Canada was qualifying in CONCACAF in Honduras. We were in Tegucigalpa, the capital of Honduras, for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And it was trying because the bus driver didn't know the way to the practice grounds. Our food was cold in the morning. Always something was going on to make our lives as miserable as possible. And so, you know, there came a time when the players, and I was, you know, one of the leadership committee, we had had enough. And we weren't as powerful as Bearzot, but you know, it was something that we needed. Our accommodations improved, our food improved, our transportation improved, because we were ready to leave. I don't think I've ever told that story, but it's true. And you know, the Canadian Soccer Association at that time always, I mean, they never had enough money. Always a problem with money. And we said, listen, we're not staying in this flea bag hotel anymore. Either you find a better place for us or we're going home. So we did that. And unfortunately, we didn't qualify for one goal. One goal kept us away from the Spanish World Cup. And that is my biggest heart-breaking moment of my life.
Of missing out on 1982.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, one of my curiosities is this year is the 20th anniversary of the 2006 World Cup victory, and yet there seems to be very little discussion or documentation of that moment in traditional or social media in the present day. But that 1982 victory seems to have established this enduring, lasting legacy. Why do you think that is, Francesco, that that resonates so much with us still now, and something as recent as 2006 seems to not be quite as significant or as emphatic?
Because there was 1982. That's the difference. I mean, when in 2006, it was also a time where there was a football crisis in Italy because there was this Calciopoli, yes. So I believe that the team unity, the team group effort was this. They had the same idea of doing that from the 1982 team. But you know what happened in Spain in that World Cup is political, is social, is even you'll see in the documentary the President of the Presidente della Repubblica, Sandro Pertini, he was there to as a political act to show his to be close to the national team. So it's different. One was more related to sport, the other one was more related to the nation. Yeah.
I think one of the themes that is woven throughout the film is this universality of sport, l'universalità dello sport, no? That the act of that those events, the elements of those events prompted all of Italy and all of Italians to celebrate, and it's very similar to what has been happening in this city over the course of the last number of weeks, right? I mean, we've seen the German fan base, we've seen the Croatian fan base here, we've seen Ghana, right, Bob? We've seen so many communities converge in this one city, and it speaks to what that is, the universality that is brought out in the film, correct, Francesco?
Yeah, and also the documentary, the story of the national team of Italy is Manlio Castagna, the writer and director of the documentary, saw in the story of that national team the perfect journey of a hero, as the Vogler analyzed the narrative style of making stories. So as you'll see that in the documentary how the story was actually like heroes, so with a starting point that was very bad and then it developed. So yeah, there is this universality, especially in sports, related to revenge and take part of a great victory path. Yeah.
Bob, when we talk about the team that faced all of this pressure and all of this skepticism and criticism, and really another one of the themes, and I don't want to give too much away, but one of the themes was that the team had their backs against the wall, le spalle al muro, right? As Antonio would know well. That kind of experience is what we're seeing Canada at the moment in terms of what they're facing as far as the adversity, that the challenges that they're trying to overcome as well. You know, a team that obviously is co-hosting the World Cup, and yet we're going to have to travel to the United States to be able to, bring a victory back home. So it's kind of, there's a bit of a reflection in Antonio's team in 1982 and this Canadian team that's been representing us so well this year.
Well, the comparison is in team spirit, I think. I would say that the Italian team of 1982 had 24 magnificent players, played at a very high level, played on great teams in Europe, and came together. But even though the talent is there, in the end it's the team that wins. It's the team, it's the coach and the effect that he has on every player. Whether you're playing or whether you're on the bench or whether you're in the stands. Not everybody can be playing and not everybody can be on the bench. and it's important that everyone is recognized on that team. And that gives strength, in my opinion. It gives strength to the whole group. And I think Canada has a lot of that right now.
Antonio, stai seguendo questa edizione dei mondiali oppure come molti italiani non prendiamo troppo gusto su quello che sta succedendo perché non ci siamo noi?
Purtroppo lo seguo così, con poco divertimento, nonostante sia un mondiale con 48 squadre, un mondiale interessante con nuove nazionali. Però ne manca una importante che è quella azzurra, quindi questo probabilmente è un problema dell'Italia, della federazione, della nazionale stessa, dove il calcio è cambiato in maniera radicale negli ultimi anni e ha determinato non una crescita dei giovani di oggi, assolutamente, del settore giovanili. Ci sono grosse problematiche e queste problematiche sono da risolvere nel migliore dei modi. Speriamo che ci siano le persone giuste per farlo, però adesso è un momento purtroppo non felice, con 3 generazioni di ragazzini che non hanno ancora visto l'Italia al mondiale, cioè 12 anni.
Unfortunately, I'm watching the World Cup with very little pleasure. There's 48 teams, but the most important team, the Italian team, isn't there, not present. It's the national Italian team. The national Italian team and the association has huge problems at the moment. There need to be very big changes, and these changes need to come in order for things to get better in Italy in terms of soccer. It's sad to say that 3 generations of children or of young people have not seen the Italian team at the World Cup. And so it's very unfortunate that this is a part of their history that they don't know, they haven't lived and don't know about.
Forse un ritorno in Spagna, Antonio, nel 2030, siccome la Spagna e il Portogallo ospitano i mondiali, quindi un ritorno per noi. Che ne dici?
È una speranza più che una sicurezza. Ce lo auguriamo tutti, perché comunque è difficile non avere un mondiale con la partecipazione della squadra italiana, che è sempre stata una protagonista di tutti i mondiali. Quindi ce lo auguriamo tutti, assolutamente, che l'Italia possa in futuro migliorare e quindi arrivare a certi risultati.
It is definitely our hope. We all hope that in 2030 we will be able to be part of the World Cup. It seems impossible that we are not part of the World Cup. World Cup without Italy seems absurd, and so we truly hope that we will be there in 2030 with better results.
This conversation could go on all night, and I wish it could, but the best is yet to come. We are about to screen Il Viaggio degli Eroi, so I want to thank my guest panelists, Francesco Rossana, grazie, Roberto Ierusci, Antonio Cabrini, grazie, soprattutto a te, grazie Licia, and thank you all very much. And I believe Francesco and Antonio will be available after the screening for a brief question and answer period. So enjoy the film, and thank you for coming.
That's the moment we were waiting for. Are you ready?
A faccia in mano
Cosa faccio con questo?
Allora, oggi è stato un giorno per ricordare.
Beh, a conoscere Antonio Cabrini è un sogno. Sono stato sempre un tifoso suo, e con la Juve e ovviamente con la nazionale, specialmente quello che ha fatto nella finale. Cioè, per averlo vicino in quel modo lì è stato veramente un piacere, un gran piacere.